What if I told you that the first global financial network didn't begin with Wall Street, or the British Empire, or even the Italian bankers of Renaissance Florence? What if coffee, yes, the drink sitting on your desk right now, was the engine behind a system of credit, trade, and international capital flows that quietly rewired the world? Because in the 16th century, before London or Amsterdam or New York became financial capitals, there was Istanbul, and from the steam of its coffee houses rose something so revolutionary, so destabilizing, that entire empires would fight to copy it and control it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on how Ottoman coffee secretly built the first global financial network, and why history has tried so hard to bury the story. So grab your coffee, and prepare to question everything you've ever been told about the origins of capitalism. Istanbul, 1550, the Grand Bazaar. It's the mid-1500s. Europe is fractured by religious wars, kingdoms rise and fall, and global exploration is still a dangerous gamble. But the Ottoman Empire stands at the crossroads of the world, controlling the trade routes between 3 continents, navigating diplomacy with one hand, and military conquest with the other. And into this world enters something new, something addictive, something transformative: coffee. Imported first from Yemen, coffee was more than just a drink. It was a ritual, an energy source, and most importantly, a social catalyst. Within decades, Istanbul saw the rise of coffeehouses known as kahvekhane. But these weren't like modern cafes. These were the dens where information, politics, business, and most shockingly, finance were conducted. Because in a world before public banks, before stock exchanges, and before standardized credit systems, the Ottoman coffeehouse became the unofficial headquarters of global trade, where coffee flowed, credit followed, merchants negotiated deals across continents, naval captains arranged cargo financing, spices, textiles, metals, and even political favors changed hands, often without a single coin physically present, because instead, they used coffeehouse credit. And this is where the mystery begins. To understand how coffee created finance, we need to meet the key player. Think of sarrafs as a mix between accountants, bankers, and risk managers. They sat inside coffeehouses, tracking debts in notebooks, assigning value to promises, and connecting buyers with lenders. Over time, their notes, handwritten contracts, IOUs, and guarantees became so trusted that they started circulating. A sarraf signs a note. Another trader accepts it like cash. These sarraf notes evolved into what we'd recognize today as bank drafts, bills of exchange, early checks, and letters of credit. This was the birth of the first international non-cash financial network. You could buy silk in Aleppo using a note written in a coffeehouse in Cairo, and settle the debt weeks later in Istanbul. And because the Ottomans controlled trade routes, their financial instruments traveled with caravans, fleets, and diplomats, spreading from port to port, city to city. This wasn't just commerce, it was infrastructure. It was the world's first decentralized banking network, powered not by vaults or institutions, but by trust, reputation, and caffeine. By the 1600s, this coffee finance system was unstoppable. As the empire expanded, the sarraf network expanded with it, from the Balkans to Egypt, Venice to Vienna. Silver was the backbone of Ottoman currency. When the Spanish flooded Europe with silver from the Americas, the market destabilized. The Ottoman monetary system suffered, and so did the sarrafs. Their notes, once as reliable as coin, suddenly became risky. Traders hesitated, debts defaulted, deals collapsed. The first global financial crisis. It didn't start in London or Amsterdam. It started with the monetary collapse in the Ottoman Empire. And soon, the empire that once controlled global trade became dependent on European banks. The lenders became the borrowers. Over the next 200 years, the Ottomans tried to adapt. They attempted to modernize their finances. They created state banks, took foreign loans, issued bonds, but it was too late, because every attempt to fix the system came with strings attached, usually held by London, Paris, or Berlin. By the 19th century, entire sectors of the Ottoman economy were controlled by foreign creditors. Railways, ports, customs, taxes, even salt production were collateral for European loans. Ottoman debt administration building. This wasn't conquest by cannon. This was conquest by compound interest. The empire that once financed the world through coffeehouse credit was now being repossessed by the very financial structures it inspired. Modern financial centers, New York, London, Shanghai. If this all sounds familiar, it should, because today, we live in a world built on the same logic, only scaled up to impossible levels. Coffeehouses became banks. Sarraf notes became government bonds. Coffee-fueled trust networks became SWIFT, IMF, World Bank, and history's pattern repeats. Nations borrow in currencies they don't control. Outsourced capital becomes dependency. Debt becomes a geopolitical weapon. And like the Ottomans, modern nations face a dangerous question. What happens when the system that built you turns against you? Just like the silver crisis of the 1600s, the world today sits on unstable foundations, over $300 trillion in global debt, 80% of international trade dependent on a single currency, and a financial system where crises spread faster than any empire could ever expand. Coffee gave the Ottomans a network. Debt took it away, and today, the same engine powers the world, with the same vulnerabilities. So what do we learn from this forgotten story? 1. Finance is built on culture before math. The Ottomans proved that systems start with people, relationships, trust, and community, long before laws and ledgers. 2. Innovation doesn't always win long term. Creating the system isn't enough. You have to protect it, scale it, and evolve it, or someone else will weaponize it. 3. Global networks are fragile. The Ottoman collapse shows how fast a system can turn from strength to weakness when the world around it changes. Today's financial system